All tadpoles. Going to hike. Ooh. See how high the water level is. Must be some poop right there that they're eating. Campground. Some sodas and other stuff. Water level still pretty high. Very beautiful. Yeah, you have the stereotype, like low IQ redneck or whatever. You do have some that are testosterone driven. Could be just the lead. Bunch of little butterflies. From the buckshot. That was a big one. The water level's still pretty high. Can't even walk around that way. Oh, but lead from the buckshot. Again, all the food that they're eating or in the fish that they're catching. All kinds of poison ivies. Sunday on my way out, did some more plantings, some weed eatings. Some scarlet runner beans, which I'm hoping will be about as perennial as the passion flower vines. Passion flower vines will die off in the winter, die back, and then sprout back up in a new spot from the underground roots. So hopefully, so it's not like a perennial. The vine itself, if I were further south, wouldn't die back, and then the vine will just keep growing and growing. But growing back from roots is almost as good. So hopefully I can do that. So this is a watch out for water moccasin situation. I got my boots. Yeah. Gardening is a full-time deal. Can't really do a proper garden. But perennials I can do, if I can get them to take. My pawpaw made a flower, but not a fruit, which seems to be the case with pawpaws. It's really hard trying to find pollinators these days. It's like pollinators are calling it for the end times. I'm not really pollinating anymore. These are some pawpaws over here. And there was a lot of flowers on these. Never know if they got pollinated though. Not seeing any baby fruits just yet. Wow, not looking good. And these had just a ton of blossoms. This is the first heat wave of the year. Mid 80s right now. Nice and humid. Humid heat. I'm starting to get climatized. You still feel it. The humidity. Wow. That's a no-go on all of these. So pawpaws are a very abundant tree around here, but just whatever normally pollinates them is just not abundant at all. Still a nice hike. This ain't even really a hike. This is more just a harvest location because it's like you can park and then walk 5 minutes and then harvest the fruit. Do that. Nice start to a hike though. There's a lot of pawpaw in these little these ravines. I'm not gonna check them out. They're not ripe anyways. That's probably, this is late May, maybe around the 20s. Probably July, August, September is that ripe. Is when they'll be ripe. July and August. And then maybe September for a few stragglers. It's looking like there may not be any. Because that was one of the most blossomed areas right there. So I do got a lot of pawpaw. You know, I had 3 baby pawpaws in my nursery planter that I've planted out. So if those 3 make it, I'll have 4 pawpaws. You know, but it's hard to say if they'll get pollinated. Granted, I could probably do a manual pollination. Just what do you call it, with a Q-tip, dabbing them, but it's a hassle. That's a squirrel. Definitely nice. This is like 2 hours from where I'm at. What do you call it, over in Nashville. About a 2-hour drive to get here. Very accessible. And it's I don't know what that is. A little toad. Somewhere. Like an armadillo. Oh, it's a water jug, okay. So peaceful. Gas prices are a bit too much to be going out here on the regular. On the weekends on the regular. I want to plant some more lilies, but I forgot them over in Nashville. So what do you call it? I'll be back on next weekend to plant those. Then it'll probably be a few weeks. I don't know. Yeah, the water level's actually gone up. Last time this was dry, muddy but dry, so I could actually walk on it. See if I can. These aren't the tallest boots. And that's probably about it's gone up probably about a foot. Water level since I was last here. Yeah, I'm sinking in too much. Maybe like bullfrog tadpoles or something. Darting around through the leaf litter. I can tell it's a small fish or tadpoles, big tadpoles. I'm just taking cover. You'd think if they were that'll be nice. Being back out here again, full time. Really hard to say how long I can stay in society. It does not look good. It's about as loud as a deer, but that was just a squirrel. That was like the loudest squirrel ever. Just crashing through the stuff. Yeah, well, that was too high to really look at the, like mud flats. Kind of what I was hoping to do. Over there's Rex Island. I almost drowned last year. I lost my good boots. That's why I got these short boots. Lost my long ones. And it's kind of like, might as well not even bother getting the big boots. I'm just gonna lose them. And these boots are always just cracking and leaking. Yeah, so it is kind of a toss-up. Stay in society longer, make more money. So I can stay out here longer and do more things. But with the inflations, it's kind of like saving more money. It's just wasting more time. It's kind of a spend a year saving 20 grand, and then a year later that 20 grand only buys what 10 grand would have bought a year ago. So might as well just go with like, smaller amount and just, spend it as I make it so it doesn't lose its value. Well, the value gets locked in, with that purchase. It's kind of like I just bought a chipper shredder for mulching top area. It was $700. But a year from now, it'll probably be $1,000. So it's like if I would stayed in society, saving and all that jazz, extra long, granted I'd have 1,000, but it'd just be a waste of time because of the inflations. Definitely getting close to the societal collapse though. Good thing the pawpaws aren't the only fruit trees I got. Because if it were, I really wouldn't be getting much fruit. Some kind of starting to work on it. So some of the things I want to get. More squirrels. Some pond liners. Eating the fish from the lake. Good way of getting brain damage, probably. Granted, it was alright to eat everything but the bass one year. But when they say that, they're probably only thinking you're going to eat 1 or 2 servings a week, tops. Not actually live off of it. You know, having a serving every day, a couple servings every day. Oh, look at the squirrel. You let me get right up on him. He turned around. Maybe in a few more months, the water level will be low enough to do some shoreline walks. Those are my favorite. Fish in the shallows, splashing around. Interesting. Yeah, the carp will come right into shore. seems like garlic and salt are some really nice seasonings for fish. And I can stock up on salt. Out on my boot tap. This is getting scary. It doesn't look that deep. There he is. What is it? Oh, it's a gar. It's an actual garfish. Razor sharp teeth. Attacking those fish. He's like, I need to get me some of that. Fish on fish. Lake has the most biodiversity of fish and shellfish. Freshwater. I think all the lakes in North America. All the lakes / rivers in North America. Not much to look at on video, but it's real cool to experience. That gar was just a few feet from me, just cruising, totally not knowing I was there. You know, I was thinking about almost reaching out and grabbing it, but they do got razor sharp teeth. And I get, so to cut my hand open with his teeth, cut my hand, scratch it real good, or I'll just get nasty water and slime, fish slime on my hand. So really there's no point, since I wasn't going to be eating it. This tree fell into that tree, knocked that tree over. These are interesting, some kind of lily. Yeah, being out in the wilds, even if there are boats in the background, it's still refreshing, rejuvenating. Oh yeah, pond liners. Farming fish is takes infrastructure and all that, but it's don't gotta worry about pollution, And society falls, you no longer have people polluting. It'll start to clear up. That's like, styrofoam and lead pellets and all that. There's just so much already out there that, take generations for it to really go down. I don't want to be dealing with all the tumors. And it is like hit and miss. Well, this is the first gar I've seen. And I've done quite a few shoreline walks. And I've seen there's been a couple of bobbers. This one looks brand new. So I'm going to keep this one. Nice and shiny enamel. Been a couple of standard bobbers. I'll just walk right past. Mosquitoes aren't really all that bad, surprisingly. Either that or they've gotten real good at biting you so you don't feel it. I guess what would be trippy is if I found one of my boots. I lost my boots. That would be sweet. Those were nice boots. Granted, I had only used them a couple of times, so it's too early to say just how good they were. Yeah, where the outdoor shower is, that's where I'll have my, the winter shower, that's where I'll have my fish farm set up. Also use those pond liners for these tanks, fish tanks. But I also use them for gardening. keep weeds from growing up. Yeah, Saturday was pretty high up, so it takes a while for it to fall. You know, it's kind of a long, long plummet down. But I guess it's kind of a, well, it may start off going slow, sped up to the point where a lot of people can finally tell that we're falling. But it's kind of like a reaching terminal velocity, you know, because people see it and realize we're falling. It's doesn't mean they can stop. We're just cruising along. Way too fast for that. This might have been one of the beaches I swam at. Well, swam wading out into the river. It's maybe one of my wading points where I have boots on and I just go wading to my neck. Pretend that I'm swimming, but I'm just standing there. It's the way to do it. I can hear people. Oh, I see the boat. Rex Island. Rex Island and Chain. There's a mangrove swamp. Planting flowers and not food. I got potatoes. I hilled those up. I'll hill them up again next weekend. So I'll have seed potatoes with which to, grow even more potatoes. Or if I don't, they'll stay in the ground and there is a chance that they'll rot out in the ground. But then there's also a chance that they won't. And they'll regrow. Just keep regrowing. Perpetuating the potato cycle. So while each particular plant dies each year, that potato colony becomes a perennial colony. And these runner beans are the same way. What do you call it? Seeds might fall and start new ones, or hopefully these roots. They're supposed to be. So is a runner bean, scarlet runner bean. The hummingbirds like it. One of the best hummingbird flowers to have. Big red squirrel. This one's definitely active. So I think maybe here's like a, a little valley. I want to say it's the next valley or the valley after that. It's actually a nice little spot. In the past, someone used to live there. Like there's some old concrete foundation, small foundation for, I don't know, maybe an outhouse or something, about 4 foot by 4 foot. It's kind of like outhouse size. And then there's some bricks and things around. This is cool. The problem with stuff like this though is you don't know if it leaks. And you don't want to be, and it's like used, so you don't know how much more life it's got in it before the plastic breaks down. Big hunk of styrofoam, some pontoon, some thing. This is water's down there. It's probably about 4 foot above the water line. A few valleys down is a good spot. It's a little wider than this. It's got a stream. It's kind of putrid, but it's still water. When you just need water, it's always good to have. Not necessarily to drink with, but for watering plants and other things. You can always need water. And then it's got bricks there. Not really enough to build anything proper with, but enough for here and there. Yeah, heading back. Got a good view of the woods. And the shoreline as it is right now, middle of May. It'll take a few more months before it's good for doing a shore walk. Oh yeah. Carolina beans though, you can eat the beans when they're green and they're nice and sweet, or you can dry them, store them for a long time as like a normal bean. This is interesting. Kind of like a grape looking leaf, but it's not a grape. Maybe it is. Not too common. Oh. Wonder if this is that, the melon. Maybe that's what this is. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Mouse melons or something. Maybe Spanish cucumbers, Indian cucumbers, something like that. I think mouse melon is a common name. That's what that reminds me of. That's a lot of mouse melon right around there. They make these little watermelon looking things, like the size of your tip of your thumb. They taste kind of like cucumbers. what look like watermelons. But the runner bean has a real thick, beefy root that you can eat. So I'd want to say that having that beefy root it'll be able to survive a winter. Something was probably a squirrel chewing on a nut. I can hear it cracking the nut. Like mid-80s. Once it gets into like the 90s, it's nice just to stand in these streams to cool off. This is Middle Tennessee, kind of close to Kentucky border, northern and Middle Tennessee. So far, it's my favorite landscape-wise. Not so much for driving because of all the hills. Rough on your car when I go up and down hills. But it's beautiful and great for actually living, living off the land. Because, the hills funnel the water into these nice little streams, which makes it easy to navigate and then easy just to get water. This pawpaw wasn't so lucky. Fell over. Got knocked over. No fruits. Yeah, so it's kind of like I need to clear an area or to grow more food. And the thing that's going to take the longest is the trees. So it makes sense plant some trees where I got things cleared right now. And then rather than trying to build up soil, just clear an area that's already cleared on that land behind mine. When the poop hits the sand, I got to start growing. I got wheat and oats and barley. Your basic grains, peanuts, and sugar beets. So there's a few sugar maples around here, but it's gotta be kind of cold, like around freezing, in order for the sap to flow right, the right kind of sap. So I'm guessing around here, and if it gets too warm, the sap gets cloudy and bitter. So it's not as good for making syrup out of, maple syrup. So kind of seems best, it's too cold for sugar cane. So sugar beets is the best way for me to get sugar. So I got sugar beet seeds. I'm not growing any. But, I got a year's worth of sugar. Maybe 2 years worth of sugar stashed away. So it'll be a few years before I need to start making my own sugar. Oh, I want to get the pond liners, and food prices are going to start going up. Well, they're already going up a lot. Like double since I've started making my preparations back in 2016. Probably about doubled in cost since then. But it's gonna double again over the next year, I'm thinking. So that's gonna be one of my priorities. Maybe this week start filling up tubs and get a pond liner or two. I eventually want like 20 pond liners. So I don't really know. Need to get a lot of equipment, like a grain mill to mill up my grain into flour. You put it in top and you hand crank. The hand crank one, maybe one that's drill powered as well. So I could take off the handle and just put on a drill and drill it. For when I can, no point in spending time hand cranking. I could just drill it. What do you call it? Sausage is like a normal type of food, but I don't think I'll ever be doing making sausages, grinding it up, putting it in casings or just leaving it uncased. That's like a hassle. Probably closest I'll do is just a coarse knife chop into burger patties. So I was thinking about getting a meat grinder to make sausage, but that's just, no point. Bees for honey would be good. And wax, but it seems like it's just too much of a hassle. Like colony collapses and all that. So, yeah, I may still get bees, but, you're looking at $2,000 worth of supplies, to maintain colonies and all that. And I have sugar beets for sugar, so really it's just the bees are for the wax, but probably get by with stocking olive oil. Get some oil lamps, olive oil lamps. So when the oil goes rancid, I could just use this lamp oil for lighting, if need be. So I really don't need wax. Catch some raccoons for their fat. Yeah, so I'm doing pretty good as far as grown food. Feels like I'm right where I should be. Like I can't really grow annuals. So I'm not out here enough. And I need to get fencing. That's another thing. Pond liners and fencing. I could do raised beds to get these plants off the ground and away from the rabbits and mice, because rabbits and mice just seem to love eating your plants rather than the wild ones. Or do some fencing to keep them out. The amount of area I need for growing, it's too great to do it all in raised beds. So, kind of fencing is a requirement to keep the critters out. So, I mean, it's kind of like stocking up on stuff like this. Fencing, pond liners, more canning equipment, spare dehumidifier, more batteries, washing machine. Washing machine is maybe propane stove too. Maybe some appliances. Getting these things more just food stocks, stacking up on my carbs and beans and sugars and salts and all that. My tubs get another couple of years worth. So it may seem like it's wasteful just putting things. So what I'm doing is I'm putting packages inside Ziploc bags inside my tubs, and it's like a hardcore person. I'll have like a Mylar bag with an oxygen absorber and a moisture absorber inside each Mylar bag, and they'll vacuum out the air, and then whatever they put in there is good for 20 years maybe or something. But it's like that's kind of what I'll be doing towards the end of my preps, some long-term storage, because it's like, day one you're going to need to eat food, so you're going to be opening up something that's going to last for 20 years. It doesn't need to last for 20 years because you're going to be consuming it right away. So it's like these Ziplocs probably keep things fresh, because they're not airtight. They do allow some air flow, not much, some. So it'll probably be fresh for 5-10 years. So once I got like a stock that'll last 5-10 years, start doing some Mylar bags with the absorbers and all that fancy, expensive prepping. But definitely keeping it in small amounts, It's more expensive, but this is kind of quantities that I'd be using it in, just purchasing it from the store in store size quantities. That's the kind of quantities I consume the stuff in, so it works for me. So kind of like, rather than just saving up a bunch of money and having it just get devalued with the inflation, probably gonna maintain like 8 or 10K of emergency funds, which doesn't go far these days, and then in the coming years isn't going to be worth much, but just in case. But then pretty much just, which I already got, but pretty much just swapping over to instead of saving, back to doing some preps, getting those pond liners and the fencing. Those are two very important things, I think. Because I could just string up pond liner in between a couple trees and then throw fish in there, or just have it as a water overflow, and not a these pond liners I'm gonna do are I can't remember, but they're not the PVC ones. They're the I don't know, maybe I can't remember what kind they are. They're the more expensive kind, but they don't break down in the UV light like the PVC pond liners. So if I was doing it as an actual pond, you know, and covering it with dirt, it would never see light. But I'm also going to be using these. Oh wow, that was full of soda. I kicked it, I made a hole in it, and it sprayed me with Dr. Pepper. About using them, you know, like it's like weeds property behind my place. Kind of like a sunken in valley. No one goes there or sees there. So it's kind of like poop hits the fan. I can always grow stuff there, and it'll just be throw it on a pond liner, stretch it out, because it's so thick of weeds it would be a nightmare trying to clear it, which I'm sure I will do, you know, some hand clearing, but not much. You know, I just want to throw it on a pond liner, let it sit for a year so everything under that pond liner dies, and then, you know, after a year of eating like my stored food, you know, I can pull back that pond liner and plant some wheat seeds, or plant some vegetables or something, you know, string up a fence around it and then plant stuff. So I mean, that's kind of the system, you know, growing a couple of tomatoes. And I got some tomatoes growing around one of my trees. I got some kale growing around another tree. I got some mustard growing around another tree. So I mean, I got stuff growing, you know, annuals. But there's really no point to it, you know. I'm not here to harvest it or eat it. Granted, I may end up, you know, being out, you know, like while it's ripe, you know. So I will eat it, but it's like there's no point in growing a lot, and I don't got enough room to grow a lot. So that was just kind of a walk. Woodsy shore walk. Late May woodsy shore walk video. Time to get back to town.